Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Good time zones.
Good time zones. We don't really I don't really want to do too much magic today. So once you're ready, let's bippity boppity boop.
Just took my last swig of caffeination. Now I'm good.
Caffeination. Get my
Yeah.
drink real quick here.
Take your
Hi.
last swig. Hi, friends.
Everybody can see us and can hear us hopefully. We
I
hopefully
know.
didn't jack this up like I do every single week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
There's
we haven't seen
people
y'all in a while. 2 weeks, right?
weeks. Yeah, so sorry about last week.
Yeah.
We life stuff happens with COVID. It's hard to have people take care of your kids.
Yeah.
And so we just had to, do our thing, do our mama. I had to do my mama stuff last week. But we are back and it works out perfectly because we have a fun chat today. Some big stuff happened this week. We have a new
Huge.
president.
Oh my
And
god.
we are going to have our friend Haley back in a little bit to talk about that kind of stuff because you guys enjoyed having that discussion with her from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And someone already noticed that it is Yes Overall Day today.
Oh yeah, we did they?
Yeah. Maddie's like, Overall Day.
Right.
Yes,
And
we
we
have
did they
overalls on.
last week, no, not last week, sorry, 2 weeks ago, we had comfy sweater day. So we're advancing into actual clothing and look at us, I'm proud of us. Pat our
We're like,
backs.
next time we're going to do matching stuff because we sadly have enough matching clothes that we can do that.
Sam and I are very similar. Our stuff may look a little different, but like we own a lot of the same types of clothes.
Right. I feel like our overalls are completely different styles. Like I feel like I'm
Uh-huh.
the one that's out in the potato field, like
I'm
digging up the
like,
potatoes
I'm taking care of the animals,
in
washing the
the 80s.
especially in the 80s.
Like the turtleneck totally is that cottagey feel, but then the acid wash is like you're a teen at the mall in the 80s.
That's right. Don't forget it, by the way. I am a teenager, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness, how was your week?
Oh my gosh, this week has been
2 weeks.
interesting to say that. Yeah, 2 weeks have been interesting. Things have been a roller coaster, just in life in general, with everything going on in this country. And I will say that this, God, I breathed. Did you just like breathe?
Waking up on Thursday morning was such a weird feeling. And
Oh,
like going to bed last night,
yes.
usually Ben, we don't necessarily doom scroll, but before bed, we always just kind of check the news to see, what's going on. Make sure we didn't miss anything because in the evenings we try to disconnect as much as possible. So before bed, we'll lay
Yeah.
in bed and just kind of scroll and catch ourselves up on the day. And there hasn't been much of that. It's been like less than 5 minutes. And we're
Oh my
like,
gosh.
all right, so we go to bed now?
Like, is
Okay,
this
okay.
it? Are we done?
Yeah, I guess like let's go to sleep.
We don't have to like formulate and send a tweet?
Yeah,
Like, this is
exactly.
it. Okay, cool.
This is easy.
High five.
This is what it's been like, huh?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it felt relieving in such a weird way. Oh gosh, it's like you just get out of a toxic relationship and you're finally like able to feel yourself again. Oh my word. It's been
Right?
a wild ride to say the least. But also, don't worry, y'all. We have not forgotten about TMW men's. We haven't forgotten about the men's game. Um, Sam and I are still doing our men's. I know that you've been posting more about yours than I have
Yep.
mine. I've been horrible because of everything and not being able to concentrate. But I have been doing mine, and oh my gosh, I was telling Sam this, but I have like my whole nightstand empty. The only things that are in there are medicines that I have found that I like stuffed in the drawer so that I can go through and dispose of properly. And then like I have a pin. I found a lot of gift cards, by the way, so I'm excited about that. A lot of them were for GameStop, and I think they're like 8 years old.
But I guess I don't know. In Nebraska, gift cards cannot expire unless they have a specific expiration date on them. In
I
certain
did find
states,
the iPads one, and it worked. I did do
in
that.
I was gonna say in certain states they can,
Um,
but it in Nebraska they could be 50 years old, and you still have to take them unless there is an expiration date still on the card somewhere.
what happens whenever a gift card expires? Does it just like go back into the person's account? Because like, what if their
No,
card
it
is
just
not?
is dead money.
Oh. I should probably spend that then.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna
literally
buy
just
a
dead money.
GameStop. Yeah, I've got like $30 in gift cards for GameStop. What should I buy?
Reason 5,928 to move to Nebraska. There are a lot.
Oh my gosh.
I thought they could expire. Yeah, North Carolina expires. There's certain ones where it's like 5 years, 10 years, 8 years, or something like that. Like,
Now I'm curious. Let me look up.
yeah, you should.
When do gift cards expire in California? They expire. Oh, they cannot.
They cannot. Okay, so a lot of states are adopting that, and I just remember
Oh,
a long time ago, like 10, 15 years ago, Nebraska had that, and I was just like, yeah. Federal law typically prevents gift cards from expiring less than 5 years after the issue date. So if it's over 5 years, then they could potentially expire, but not unless you're in Nebraska or apparently California.
but yeah, no, I found a lot of
Ready?
goodies. Found a lot of trash. I found. Oh my gosh, I found stuff from like 12 years ago that has just made it from Louisiana, and I don't know what bags that I've kept it in. I found this box that my original frog skin Oakleys came in. It's just the empty box. It's a little clear container. And I had that whenever I was a live-in nanny when I was, how old am I now? When I was 18. It was 11 years ago. But I don't know how that little like piece of trash made it all the way over here in California
That
through
blows
like
my
three
mind.
different rooms. I, me too. What the heck?
Like,
Don't worry, it got recycled finally.
there's
But
at
man,
what
what
there's
a
at one point I'm
awful.
imagining you moving, and you're just like that just has to be towards the end of your move or your packing. You're like, screw all of this, and you just pour it into a box or a
Yeah, it was
bag.
in a bag of its own, and it had like some little notes from high school and stuff. So like that was like my kind of memory bag. And I guess that I just stuffed it in there at some point because I was like, well, I still have my frog skins. I can put them in there. I lost those a million years ago, and I guess I forgot I had the box as well. So whenever I found it, I was like, well, you serve me literally no purpose anymore.
Exactly, literally none. You're talking about money, and I've been following and liking the hashtag on Twitter, the TMW Mins on
Good.
Twitter every few days. And some people, I don't know if they're either of them are in here, but somebody's made over $600 selling stuff.
What?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. And then someone else made about, and that was like a few weeks ago.
Oh,
I mean, that's hard to say because we're only 22 days in, but that was like a week or so ago that I saw that. And then someone else had made about $350 worth of stuff because they're selling it on Facebook Marketplace and Poshmark and stuff like that.
y'all are hustling, and I am so proud of you.
Right?
What the heck?
That reminds me of like is it Gary V that he goes to like garage sales and buys stuff and then turns around and
Yes.
sells them? Yeah.
Yes.
But like you don't have to go buy stuff because you already have it.
Mhm.
Isn't that crazy that and so like they were able to
It's
go
smart.
and turn around and redo part of their house with some of that money.
Yeah, no, y'all are being so smart. I've only been doing giveaways on like my Twitter of stuff that I have, mostly just gaming stuff. But man, if I sold it instead,
Yeah. I don't have
yeah, got me
anything big enough.
thinking.
Like I'm assuming some of it has to be furniture, right? I don't have anything big enough that I could possibly
Oh, maybe.
sell. But still, like that's cool that you're turning around and you're making money off of your stress,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and we'll
Like,
definitely talk so much more like about the men's game next week because we got a whole week of big number days.
yes. It's going to be interesting. Let's see. I had to catch up because I was a few days behind, and I had to catch up and do 93 items in one day. And I ended up going through my nightstand, all of our cabinets underneath our bathroom sinks and in our drawers, and just like random little like junk mail and stuff that I needed to get rid of. And I got 93 items out of there. And
Dang.
towards the end, I was like, I can't find anything else. It's literally there's literally not a single thing in any of those areas now that I would want to get rid of or that Ben needs to get rid of. It was very nice
Satisfying.
to do that and to be like, there's 93 items right here. And I went through and got like, because I just got new socks. I went through and got rid of all the old socks that, have holes or super stretched out, or I just don't like how they fit.
Mhm.
And I have another little stack of them ready for another day. So today I'll be going through, and I usually do like every 2 to 3 days at a time, and then I'll just do a big sweep.
Big bulk. Yeah.
And then do it. So
I unintentionally do more than one day at a time because once I start, I'm just like, I might as well get to the next day too.
Yeah.
I might as well just do 3 days. It's fine. That's how I did my dresser all in one day. I was like, just get out of here.
And the funny thing is this is my third time doing the men's game, and I still have not gotten to my office. I've done my drawer of markers and pens on the first one, but I still have not deep dived into my office yet. And that's probably where I'm going to be at the end of the month. It's just opening up a drawer and being like, do I really need all these backings to all my pin collection? Do I really need one of these little express thingies that guys put in their collars to keep their collars stiff? I don't know why. That's
Do you need that, Sam?
in the trash now. Literally, like, I could just open up these drawers, and these drawers came from our last house, so there's stuff in there. I can't even close the bottom one out because something fell behind, and I don't know how to get these drawers out without taking the whole cabinet apart. So.
Oh my gosh. I literally have a sock drawer right here of just like fuzzy socks because I used to collect them for so long because I wore them on my stream. And you just reminded me I need to go through that drawer. I don't think I've opened it in like a year.
How many pairs of fuzzy socks do you really need? I have three pairs of like the thick, we call them monster socks in our house. Like I have 3 pairs, but one of them is missing. Like one of the one socks is missing, and it's my favorite pair. I have no clue where it could possibly be.
So would that count as half an item or one item?
Yeah. Do you count socks as like individual socks or pairs? Like is one pair one thing or is it 2? I guess depends on how desperate you are to get stuff that day.
Well,
I don't think the dryer could eat it. The dryer couldn't eat it because it's like it's a like mid-calf sock, and it's thick.
Yeah,
like my house would be on fire if the dryer ate it. And I know it's in this house somewhere.
Deep like fleece ones are like super fuzzy on the inside, then it's like a knitted on the outside.
I have one pair like that.
Yeah, I have one pair like that as well, and I don't wear it because I dried it once, and like all of the cotton in it kind of shifted to like underneath in between the fabric, and I can't fix it. I don't know why I'm holding on to it.
Because it's cute.
Going. It is
washer
cute.
might have ate it. My knit socks. If my house would be flooded then if the washer ate the sock. It's like a thick sock. Well, I'll probably have to end up getting rid of it, so you'll see it on Twitter eventually, anyways. But yeah, men's game. I think it's so cool to see. There's like 5 or 6 people that are consistently posting on Twitter. I haven't checked Instagram in a while. But on Twitter, it's so cool to look back and see everybody's stuff. But like Sam said, we'll get back into our 2021 prep that was just supposed to be in January, but it's going to bleed into February a little bit. So we'll talk more about that next week with our intentional living, making choices in our life that make things easier. What did you say?
Use our hashtag.
Oh, yeah. TMWMins. Hashtag TMWMins.
We'll type it. TMWMins.
But... with the hashtag.
Oh, sorry. Hang on.
Yeah. Well, somebody's not going to type it correctly. So, this week, something big happened.
Huge, actually.
Lots.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks ago, something big happened for kind of an opposite reason. And we had a wonderful guest by the name of Haley Nick. And as soon as we're like, we need to talk about the inauguration. And we're like, we need to invite Haley back. It's the only thing that makes sense, right? So, Haley, are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
You're here?
I'm here. I'm waiting.
Boppity boop magic.
By all means. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Oh, that's right. I'm looking down on you guys because I'm up here. Hi.
You're right there. Yeah. I have to look at my mic. You are my mic right now.
My mic too.
Oh.
I love it.
How are you? How was your week?
It's been honestly I feel like I took a deep breath for the first time in 4 years. It's been really nice, honestly. It's been a good week. It's been nice to wake up and not have to worry what kind of mood my president is in. Right? Just in general, it's been a very it can just kind of exhale
But
for
I
once.
also
It's been
feel
good.
like we've been binge watching this show for so long, and like when your favorite show is over with, and you're like, now what do I do?
I
I
know.
feel
Oh my God. I'm glad I'm not alone in that because obviously Trump isn't on any kind of social media right now.
yeah,
And so it's easy for me to be like, I'm so used to see, and I have the dude muted, like even when he's not banned, because I'm like, I don't want to see this. But it was constantly in my news feed. And so not having, I saw an article this morning that said something about him and he was golfing. And I'm like, I didn't know he was golfing. This is so weird that I didn't know that he was
right.
golfing. So you're not alone in that, just being used to the constant cycle of chaos and suddenly being cut off from it.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. Like, a lot of the times when I don't want to say bad, but like when big things happen, they kind of just slowly drop off. This was just like literally a chopping block, and then now we're on to the next chapter.
Yep.
And it's like, your favorite TV show, and then they change the actors mid-season, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay. Now
Great
what?
reference, actually. You're
So
right.
it was such a weird feeling, but it was so cool. Like, did you guys
I
watch
know.
the full inauguration?
I
Um,
wasn't able to watch fully, but I watched clips later
I
on.
watched the beginning. I didn't get to watch all of the performances at the end, but I watched up until like the actual inauguration itself I watched.
Okay. So we watched the whole thing all the way up through. They pretty much were just kind of doing recaps by the time we stopped watching the news.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't get to watch the event in the evening. I totally forgot about it.
Too. Yeah, same.
But it was so cool to feel like I was there because there was nobody in the crowd. Right? Like I feel
Yeah.
like I wasn't watching other people experiencing it. I felt like I was experiencing it. And even just watching clips of the event in the evening, I don't want to like call it a ball or a concert, but it was a concert basically in
Right.
the evening. But even then watching clips of it later, I felt like I was there. And my mother-in-law was talking about how she just thought it was cool because there were certain things that happened like with the gifts and stuff like that she didn't know about because we've never been able to see before because it's always been kind of behind closed doors. I was like, why don't they do this almost like an award show every single time where people can still in the future dress up in their fancy dresses and go to this event and stuff like that, but then they can also televise it like they do the Grammys and stuff like that where we can actually be a part of it because I felt like that was just such a cool thing that I felt almost unified right away that I was sharing it. Literally everybody else was at home too. And
I
there
thought it
was
looked
no
prettier.
envy of like wanting to be there in
Yeah.
person and stuff like that because nobody was there.
Yeah. In fact, actually, some friends of mine, we originally had planned on attempting to go to inauguration. And then
Really?
for obvious reasons, it
Yeah.
didn't work. But as soon as they announced that Biden won the presidency, because I have a close friend of mine who we went to DC together and we marched in the Women's March. Like she and I are very into politics and into this whole thing. And so the second they announced Biden as the president elect, we were like, we got to go to inauguration, right? And I've never been to it before. DC, my first visit was last year. But it was really cool to watch, the inauguration and just because we had just been to a lot of the places that they were visiting and seeing it all in person, and especially how like shut down all of DC was. They were not messing around with inauguration for obvious reasons. And to be like, wow, I was just there and it was nothing like this. It also kind of went to show how seriously they took the security and the threats from January 6th. And good on Joe Biden for not backing down. I think it would have been easy to just say, no, we're just going to do a virtual inauguration and not have it be this big event like it was. But he was like, no, he won the freaking presidency. He deserves
Yeah.
his inauguration. So I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did. But it was a cool experience being able to witness it the way that we all did. I absolutely agree with that. And I'm curious to see how this will change inauguration going forward, if at all.
Right. I think it's cool because they pull police officers from different precincts around the United States to come fill in for stuff like that. And there was 12 officers from Omaha that became honorary Capitol Police officers for the day. And they showed somebody on Twitter showed like the box that they get that has a pin and it has their badge, and then it has like a coin and stuff like that.
That's
That is like the
cool.
commemorative coin for the event. But then they have their official Capitol Police officer badge, all in this like nice velvet case and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's so cool that I didn't know that they pulled people from all over the country to come and fortify events like that. And so it's like a big honor to have your precinct to be picked, and then obviously picked from that precinct to go there. So I thought that was super cool to see that there was people from. So it was even cooler for me to know that people from my city were there protecting everything and making things possible for me and stuff like that. It was just, is fuzzy
just
feelings.
glad that everyone was able to enjoy it that was there, and they didn't have to fear
Yeah.
because
Definitely.
they kind of canceled out the crowd thing. And also, oh my gosh, the photos of just how like the flags and the lighting look, that was so pretty.
So
Right.
pretty.
It was beautiful.
And I love
loved
that they
it a
did
lot.
the flags for each state going
Yep.
down, and I was like, what is that pattern at first? And then they're like, there's two rows or something for each state of flags. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
see ours. Like,
I
we're
know, that's how I felt
blue.
too. Yeah, because one of the bigger pictures that they posted that went around of the flags was the Arizona flags. And I was like, "Oh my god, my state!" Especially because Arizona went blue this time. It was just like a very emotional, and especially because that area would usually be reserved for people who were attending the inauguration and couldn't. I think that was a great way to compensate for the fact that people couldn't be there by having it be represented by the flags. I just
Yeah.
thought that was whoever came up with that idea was genius.
Really?
Get a raise.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. Holy heck. Wow. Also,
Yeah, there's a
we
lot
have a
of good
Madam Vice.
stuff.
Like either way,
What a way to
and
say it.
I don't know about you guys, but let's say that we had a Republican president coming in, but there was still a female vice president. Like, still cool.
Oh
It's
yeah.
even cooler though that for us at least that they are more on the Democratic side. But
Yep.
it's still like no matter what, I think it would be so cool to have a female vice president or president, no matter what side they were or what level they were and stuff like that. It feels good. Like it feels weird to see that because you've seen the picture where they have all of the vice president's pictures and stuff like that, and then they have Kamala like in her power suit standing there and everything. And it's just like it's such a weird change. Again, they changed the actor mid-season kind of feeling, but it's just
And
And
then we have a second.
that's what representation feels like. You know what I mean?
and we have a
Like-
second gentleman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that he got to like have input on that. They had said that during the inauguration that he chose second gentleman. Obviously, like it has to be approved by the proper people, but they talked about like 3 or 4 different options. They didn't say what the other ones were, but he chose second gentleman because it's usually first lady, second lady, and stuff like that. And he felt like lady and gentleman went well together. But he's setting the precedent for every other first and second gentleman to potentially come in the future. Isn't that like he made history right there just by picking that? And
There is so
and
much
it's
history.
and I love that he even said he's like, yeah, I'm making history by being the first second gentleman, but I am being preceded by so many amazing women before me. Let's not forget that. Like,
Yeah.
don't forget that they've done amazing things too. All the first women or first ladies and second ladies of the United States. And it was just so cool for him to not really like, he doesn't seem like a guy that will really gloat in the moment, right? He just seems like a down to earth kind of guy. And that made me feel super cool too.
It just all feels so good. Like, it just feels like things are right. It's whenever, those like little kid puzzles where you get the circle and you put it in the circle. You get the square and you put it in the square. Like, it just feels like the pieces are going where they belong. Finally, instead of trying to shove that triangle in the square for so long.
I feel like all of our analogies trying to explain our feelings today are going to be from out of left field because we just don't know how to
Teaching our
feel.
children too.
Yeah. because it's all new, right? Um, someone mentioned in chat the fashion.
The fashion.
Uh,
Amazing.
I like all the bold colors too.
The
Um,
monochrome too. Like they were bold, powerful outfits.
yeah, Kamala's stepdaughter, her jacket with like the embellished shoulders
Mhm.
and stuff like that was like one of my favorite. I loved Lady Gaga's like dove with the olive branch
Love.
necklace, or not necklace, but like,
Brooch.
Brooch.
but it was as big as her face.
It was massive.
But it's Lady Gaga, so
Oh my gosh,
you don't
Amanda
really care.
Gorman, like she put a headband over like the bun of her hair.
Yes.
That was so pretty.
And her mom's masks were like so cool.
cool.
They were all sparkly.
So pretty.
But you know what really like kind of blew my mind, but also didn't surprise me, is that Kamala just had a black disposable one on.
Did she
Olivia
pay
Bessel.
attention to that?
Everybody else, like all of Biden's kids and grandkids and stuff like that, they all had the matching masks to their outfits, which were awesome and really pretty. But then here comes Kamala just out with the black disposable mask. And I was like,
Oh my god.
you go, girl. And it was even cool to see I hate saying his last name because I can never say it correctly, but Mayor Pete. It was cool even to see like Mayor Pete and his husband there, and that to just be a normal, okay thing, right? Like they had a moment. We were watching ABC, and they had a moment where the two of them were just talking and like laughing and giggling together, and I was just like, "That's so cool! I want him to be president one day."
Going from 2 weeks ago when the White House was just bombarded with so much hate and spite and just evil, to all of this like joy and kindness and overwhelming change. It's so nice to see it progress. Unfortunately, from some stark differences, but like just see it progress so quickly, and it feels so alleviating to see different people, different types of people from all kinds of backgrounds, and I think that that's a beautiful thing and what we need more of. For sure. And it doesn't matter which side of the office that it comes from, but like it needs to come from somewhere, and I'm glad it's happening now.
And Biden, he's the second Catholic president that we've had?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
I think so.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, he's the second Catholic president that we've ever had. And that seems kind of weird to me because like I feel like Catholicism is a pretty big religious group, right? But it's definitely cool to see that even something like that, like someone that's not religious at all, I still find that really cool that there is so much diversity in everything that happened, right?
Yeah.
And to see, I don't know about you guys, but seeing all of like the past presidents together, it kind of felt like the A-Team, like the show from the 80s and stuff like that. It felt like the A-Team was back, and seeing them all like hang out together. Granted, I didn't like that they were all giving each other hugs and stuff.
There was a lot of closeness.
Like, granted, yes, they all got, I'm sure, COVID tested the day of or the day before. I know all the reporters had to the day before. But it was so cool to see them all. I kind of forgot what Bill Clinton looked like, right?
I didn't recognize Hillary for a moment there.
You didn't
Mainly
know?
because of the mask. Well, because of the mask.
Yeah, because like, can you recognize me like this? But
all I saw was the blonde hair, and then I was like, "Who is that in the purple?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's Hillary."
It was really neat to see that, and then also, can we talk about celebrity performances for a real hot second? Can we talk about Garth Brooks and his jeans, and then also him running to every president and giving them a hug?
That was pretty great.
After he got done, but here's the thing: is it looked like he ran past Kamala, and she
really?
like, reached out her hand, and he kind of like backtracked and shook her hand. And so he like shook Biden's hand, and then he started to walk away, and Kamala reached her hand out, and then he shook her hand, but then he was going through and was like shaking and hugging hands with the Obamas and with the Clintons and with the Bushes and stuff like that. And I was just like, it's just such him. And then he's like, okay, bye. And he just starts running up the stairs. And I was like, what is going on?
Oh my gosh, his outfit in a black tie affair. Yep.
Oh yeah, and he wore boots. I mean, of course, because he's Garth Brooks. Like, of course,
Yeah.
he's wearing a cowboy
Those are
hat
fancy. Those are
and jeans and boots to an event like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he can do that. It's Garth Brooks. Oh man, but listening to Lady Gaga sing and to Jennifer Lopez sing, like I don't know who picked them, but they were so good.
They were incredible.
Either. Like, I wonder who's in control of that.
Yeah,
And
like
then, go on.
I'm curious, does like Biden did he pick Lady Gaga because she sang technically, or no, did he pick J-Lo because Lady Gaga sang first and then Kamala got sworn in and then J-Lo sang and then Biden got sworn in. So that's why I was like,
I
do
want
they
to
get
look it up.
Yeah, do they get to pick their own person? And then who picked Garth Brooks? Like nobody knows because that was later. But
these are the questions we need answered. Who
yes,
picked
exactly.
who and why? Are they all their favorite artists?
Can you imagine that? I can only imagine Biden just dancing in J-Lo.
Just in his bathrobe. he's just
Jamming out.
Just like,
Yeah, that's my
I'm
girl.
still Jenny from the block.
He's like, loved her films, made
Yeah,
in
he's like-
Manhattan, loved her. He's like,
He's getting
"Grow
ready.
up."
He's like, used to have a little, now I have a lot. Oh my
The
god.
thing is, I think I could imagine Biden doing that.
Oh yeah. Ben and I were talking about how there's always something that kind of represents each presidency, and for this one, it's going to be Chuck Taylors and aviators. And I think that's
That'll
pretty
be
great.
Ice cream. Don't
I
forget
can
the
get
ice
an
cream.
ice
There's going to be a
cream,
lot of
right?
that.
Oh, I was watching, or not watching, I was reading about each of their kids because when they all were walking out, I was like, I don't know whose kid is who and if they're kids or grandkids. So
Mhm.
Ben and I were reading about it. And apparently, the day that Biden accepted the Democratic nomination, all of his grandkids got him his own pint of ice cream because in their family, there's a hard rule that you can't eat out of the box of ice cream. You have to, spoon it into a bowl and stuff like that. And they said, today you can eat it out of the box is how they kind of like, all of his grandkids congratulated him by giving him his own pint of ice cream that he can eat out of the box. And I was just like,
That's the cutest thing.
it was so adorable to like find out about their families and about the Bibles that they used. Like Ben and I were researching things the whole entire time that we were watching. Like the huge ass Bible that Biden used is
The Monster Book of Monsters.
yes, is from his family, and it's from like the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been in his family ever. Like I think Ben said it was like the 1890s or something like that. And it was so crazy to look at that and be like, that's the font has to be like this big on each page or something. I don't know.
Also has to be like really faded and stuff too. How do you preserve something?
Like, is it in its own clear box that it just sits in all the time?
Like a glass case.
Yeah, it looked like the vampire book in Buffy for sure. And then Kamala had 2 Bibles.
Hey, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so she had one that was the Bible of her old neighbor growing up that she considered her second mom. And then, what was her second Bible? It belonged to somebody important. Thurgood Marshall was who her second Bible was. And he was American loyal and civil rights activist. And he was the Supreme Court's first African American justice.
Oh, cool.
So she
That's
had his
awesome.
Bible and then also the Bible of her neighbor that was like a second mom to her growing up in there. And I was just like, yeah, it just, everything felt like it was thought out really well.
So too, meaning and symbolism behind pretty much everything,
Yeah.
which it means a lot.
And even like I felt like the outfits that they were wearing, like a lot of people are talking about Hillary Clinton wearing purple, which is, the universal color for combining red and blue together. So it was kind of like a nonpartisan color outfit. But then it was also the color of that women that were fighting for the right to vote tended to wear a lot to represent that whole movement too. And I mean, you can read into everything, but it just makes you feel
Yeah.
good to think that that was really thought out about that. Um, so yeah. And then can we
Loved
all
it.
just say Amanda Gorman's outfit was like
I'm
Slayed.
so glad that they picked her. I personally did not know who she was until
Hmm.
then, and now I'm just like,
nobody
"We need
really
more of
did.
her." Yeah,
Well,
we
it's
need more
funny
of
you
her.
mentioned that because as she was speaking, because I was watching it with my chat, and I was like, "Who is this girl?" Totally blown away, right? And someone was able to link her Twitter, and so maybe like 2-3 minutes into her poem, I went on her Twitter. She had about 20,000 followers, and I just kept hitting refresh
Ben and I were doing
and
the
and
same.
watching. It was she ended the day with over 1,000,000. I'm
Yeah.
like, this girl
On
literally got a
Instagram.
million Twitter
Yeah,
followers. Yeah,
I think it's over
Instagram too,
2
right?
million. Yeah,
And
2
then
million on
both of her
Instagram.
books debuted on the #1 bestsellers on Amazon 1 and 2.
Yep.
Yep. I just think that's so incredible. And to see so many huge people supporting her too. I mean, everyone was talking about her. Barack Obama tweeted her out, Oprah, Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, like you name it. People were talking, all they could talk about was Amanda Gorman. And I
How
just
did they
think that
find
is
her?
incredible.
That's what
So
I
they
wanna
found her, Jill Biden found her. Dr. Biden
Really?
went to one of her readings. I forget where it was, but saw her performance and invited her to perform an inauguration,
And
which I
she's
thought
the
was just
first
amazing.
National Youth Poet Laureate too.
Yep.
Yep, he's the youngest.
Which is awesome. Someone's talking about the ring that she wore and that Oprah gave her earrings.
Oh,
Really?
really? I know Oprah knew her. I do know that.
If somebody, whoever said about the ring, tell us about the ring because I'm interested in that.
Library of
Uh,
Congress. Thank you, Witcherella. Yeah, that's where she had performed that poem, was at the Library
yeah.
of Congress, and that's where Dr. Biden
And
found
I
her.
just loved that. The caged bird ring in honor of Maya Angelou. Ah, that's so
Aw,
cool. Oprah gave her
So
both pieces.
cool.
Nice.
so
I liked
nice.
that just when she spoke, she used her hands. And I watched an interview with
I could
Anderson
watch her
Cooper.
hands.
You what?
I
I could
know.
just watch her hands all
Right.
day.
I watched an interview with Anderson Cooper, and I was like, I wonder if she actually like was at a performance, or is that just her? And when she was answering questions normally, she still used her hands a little bit, very fluid and stuff like that. But then he said something about how she has a mantra that she says before every single time that she performs, and she talked her mantra out, and it was just a lot again, and it felt almost like dancing or conducting an orchestra kind of feeling, and it was so cool, and she just seems so cool. And I want to be cool.
No.
You are cool.
You are cool, Sam.
I want to
Be
be cool
careful.
like that.
I loved it. I loved her performance, and I was blown away by it. And I think that it also introduced a lot of people to poetry, right? I think we hear a lot about poetry, but it's not very common to just be like, oh yeah, or just casually read poetry or go and see a performance. But to see the way that not just the poem, but the way that she performed it was just so breathtaking. And it really, like, I was blown away by it. And I think that I think her performance also brought a lot of attention to poetry as a whole, aside from delivering such a powerful message that I'm so glad to see an artist like her get the recognition that she deserves,
For
because
sure.
that was incredible. I'm still
Yeah.
blown away by it. It's been 2-3 days.
Yeah, and someone
More.
mentioned that she wants to run for president too.
Yeah, she mentioned it in the poem.
Yeah, and I was
Well,
just like,
yes.
and she has a speech impediment.
Does she?
Does
Yeah.
she?
Yep, she has a speech impediment like Biden does.
Oh,
Not know that, because
Yeah.
I read about that somewhere, but I didn't know if it was for
True.
sure.
yeah.
I did
Yep.
not know that.
Really?
Yeah,
Look
isn't
at
that so
people
cool?
coming
That's really
over.
cool.
She couldn't say the letter R.
Oh my gosh. Well, she
Yeah.
did beautifully.
She did amazing.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, she
just
was
absolutely nailed
flawless.
it.
It just
We're
those
big
are all
Amanda
the-
Gorman stands, chat.
Yes, those are all the fuzzy feelings. Are there any other fuzzy feelings from the actual inauguration before we move on to day
I mean,
one?
there's one, but we'll get to it later.
Oh yeah, we'll save that for the end.
I think the
Um,
biggest thing that we touched on a little bit, but truly the fashion of not just like the Congress people, but everyone who was there, I was so impressed by. Especially, have we not talked about J Lo's outfit?
right?
Oh my God.
She looks
J
so
Lo came out and my jaw was on. I started screaming. I was like, oh my God, she looks incredible. I was losing my, and then she started singing, and I was just an absolute
And she's
mess.
50. She's 50 years old,
Just
never
honestly,
believe
if
it.
I don't look like that at 50, I'm not even gonna bother. Like
right?
she looks so good. And seeing her like she just in every aspect of the term, she knocked it out. They all did. They all knocked it out of the park. But to
Right.
It was
see, and then
perfect.
she said part of the song she said in Spanish too, which I loved. And I
Mhm.
can't remember the exact line, but I also thought that, oh, and the fact that when they did the Pledge of Allegiance, they did it in sign as well. I
Yes, there was a
love
ton of
that they did that.
I would say exclusive, but it's not
Inclusive?
inclusivity.
There you go.
I always get them switched in my head, so I have to think it out. I just love how, again, everything seemed to be thought about. They
Yeah.
wanted everyone to be included. However, it made me giggle when J Lo started singing "This Land Is Your Land" because all I imagine is like 51st graders at an assembly singing that. Like that's the song that you sing when that's the song that you learn in elementary school to do your Independence Day concert and stuff like that. I never imagine an adult singing it, and so when she's singing it in the back of my head, I just have like little 51st
Kids.
graders going.
I know. I
This land is
remember
your land. This land is
the good old days.
Aw.
The only issue I had, which was not anyone's fault except for CNN, because that's where I was watching it, was that they freaking panned away on the camera during the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm like, what's the point of having sign if you're not going to show it on camera?
Oh,
Literally.
true.
So that sucked. I'm like, come on, guys. Yeah,
They
everyone can
usually
hear
put
it.
it in like a little box up in
Yeah,
the
at the
top of
very
the window.
least.
They didn't do that?
No.
Oh.
Because I mean, they
Fail.
just panned away for like, a few seconds to show everything as the Pledge of Allegiance was going. But like, I think that it was probably just a brain fart and they didn't even think about it. But even in my chat, they were like, really? You're going to pan away as
we
soon
were
as you do that?
watching ABC, and there was a few times that I think the switchboard person was having some issues because we were watching a speech, and then all of a sudden, here's George Stephanopoulos just looking down at his screen, and then it goes back to somebody else that's like in the crowd, and then it's back to just George just staring at the screen. We're like, somebody's getting fired.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just okay. So yeah, she did the one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
Liberty
all.
and yeah, that's right. Liberty and
In
justice for all for
Spanish.
sure. That
Were
she
there
said
any
Spanish.
other hiccups that y'all know of?
I
Not
don't-
as far as like the actual event. I think it was just on the broadcasting side that we saw, but I don't know of any other hiccups as well. And we watched a little bit because it was being broadcasted on Twitch too, which also super cool that it was on Twitter, it was on YouTube, and it was on
Everywhere.
Twitch. Like that again. Everything
Was it on
seemed to be thought
Facebook?
about.
Was it on Facebook?
I imagine so.
Probably somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
But just like including Twitch this year, we saw it with people doing sponsored streams with the Democratic Party and with Biden, and we saw with them like using Animal Crossing and stuff like that to kind of get the word out to more people. I feel like that campaign group just used every resource available to them to make Biden more accessible. And I think that's
Yeah,
a
that was
pretty
important.
smart thing to do. So was it Michelle? She tripped walking down the stairs.
I think it was Kamala.
Was it Kamala that tripped?
It was just barely. She
Yeah.
caught herself. But yeah.
But at least she was inside. She wasn't outside when she tripped.
Right.
Because
She
they
was
had the
inside.
ramp.
Yep.
But yeah, she tripped and she was when she was inside, and I was just like,
Oh no, it's okay, girl. We all do it.
yeah.
True. No one's perfect.
As
Yes.
far rating the inauguration and how it made you feel and how it went off, 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, about same.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I would say
Good.
that.
Like-
It was a very helpful experience.
Yes. And then Biden got to work.
Yeah, he
right?
did
Mhm.
17 executive orders. I think it was like right after lunch. They had lunch and then he signed a bunch of stuff
He just yeah, and he
and
even said so. He said on day one that he was going to get
do
work done,
work.
and I was like,
Yep.
oh, we'll see if you actually do that or not. But it was just so cool that like he got sworn in, he went and had a nice lunch, and then he just got to work, and then he got ready for his party. Like
Yep. Did they
Yep.
that, we love a power move, dad kind of
correct me
Yep.
if
feeling.
I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that these were the most executive orders done on an
Yes.
inauguration day. That's
Um.
insane.
The okay, so Trump and Obama both did single digits. One was like 6 and one was like 8. And then the 4 previous presidents before that had 2 total combined between them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Then yeah,
Yeah.
this would definitely be the most. I for some reason thought Trump had more than that, but wow.
Mm-mm. They were both single digits. And I think Trump's was like the 8 and then Obama's was like 6 or something like that. And then
Okay.
yeah, the 4 previous. So what that would be Clinton, Bush,
Carter.
Carter. It was
Yeah.
only 2 on day 1. Between so I don't know which 2.
Mhm.
It was 1 individually, and obviously it wasn't back to back because otherwise they would just say it was Bush and Clinton. So one of those guys didn't do anything for sure in there. So it was cool to see that he was following through on his promise that he was going to work from day 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh my
also just to see I mean, it's kind of exhausting when you look at the list of the things that he did executive orders on
Which we're
because
going to.
they're just so basic. Like things that should never have been an issue in the first place that he's like, "All right, we're not dealing with this anymore." Right? Being able to just come in and be like, "All right, we're going to rejoin the climate accord. We're going to rejoin the World Health Organization. We're going to have like things that should just be obvious that should never have been an
Mhm.
issue in the first place that he's like, "All right, this isn't an issue anymore."
Yeah.
It sucks that he even had to do that. But
You had to like
but yeah.
undo a lot of what was done. And
Yep.
that's it's so frustrating that that has to be some of his first priority stuff, just undoing what a president just did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Come on.
I
Were you
know.
ready to go down the list?
Sure, we can start with the federal mask mandate. So basically, that one is saying that you have to wear a mask on federal property. It doesn't mean that everybody at like your basic grocery stores and stuff like that is going to get in trouble for not wearing their mask. But if you are on federal property, you legally now have to wear your mask. I will say, wear your mask wherever you go. But anyway, uh, so that's kind of like the first one because he really wants to crack down on the pandemic or at least the issues that we're having here in the United States. Of course, our numbers are constantly skyrocketing. However, I will say California just got under 10,000 cases a day, which that's still a big number, but that is good.
That's a lot of
Yeah,
people.
that's a big improvement.
Yeah, and our state's huge, so like that is a massive thing for us. So that's already a good thing. And then as Haley just kind of touched base on the Paris Accord and the World Health Organization, do you want to talk a little bit more about those? Does anybody know what they are?
Obviously, the World Health Organization
No.
is
Yeah, I know World Health. I don't know about the Paris Accord, honestly. So if y'all can
the
educate me.
what it was so funny with the Paris Accord that who was it that was
Ted Cruz.
calling like the Pennsylvania that was it
Yeah,
Ted
it was
Cruz?
Ted Cruz was talking about like we care more about Paris people than we
And
do
Parisians than Pittsburgh
yeah,
residents.
yeah, and then I think it was AOC who called him out and was just like, "I bet you also believe that like the Geneva, I can't remember what it's called, but that
The
we only care
Geneva
about
Convention.
yeah, that we only care about like Geneva." It's just like
But yeah, the Paris Accord is an environmental group kind of thing where everybody just kind of is working together to help solve climate control and just environmental issues, sharing research, sharing information, helping each other out and stuff like that too. So we're already working on COVID. We're already working on
climate change.
climate change and more
Yep.
COVID with the World Health Organization. And then the next one is reducing ice, which is the border control
Yeah.
customs.
Yeah, there you go. I never remember what any of these things stand for. I know what they are. I just never remember
Yeah,
what they
the
stand for.
acronym.
Yes. And helping reunite the kids that are still stuck down there with their families and
Thank
trying, and he
God.
stopped, I don't know if this is separate on the list or not, but he stopped the building of the wall.
Yeah.
And
They
he
have to
doesn't,
review the progress, that I don't know what he's going to do, we'll have to see, but, hey, at least stopping it so that they can kind of figure out what the heck to
yeah,
do with it,
Yeah.
that's important. They removed the Muslim travel ban, so, like, there's a lot of border things going on right now in both international travel as well as, like, the border of Mexico, because that's all that Trump was concerned about, it seems.
Yeah. At least when he was running, that's for sure.
Yeah.
yeah. And then extending student loan pause until September 30th. That's for people that need to repay student loans and stuff like that. They are kind of have a little grace period there
Yep.
with that, with COVID and the world right now, which I don't have any student loans, so it doesn't affect
Same.
me. But
Yeah, and to his credit, Trump had put one in place already that was set to
yes,
expire, so it was his renewing it
yeah,
essentially.
That's
which
good.
I still think is smart because I don't think we're anywhere near getting back to being able to pay that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
and the student loan debt, that's a whole separate
Yeah.
beast itself.
Hopefully he touches base on that eventually here in
Yeah.
the into the future. But let's see, revoking the permit on the Keystone pipeline, which I know is
Big
a
deal.
very polarizing kind of thing.
It's
Obviously,
touchy.
people on the environmentalist side, and the people that it's the land that they're driving through and stuff like that. That's a big deal to, have that being taken away. But it also is a ton of jobs that are being taken away too.
Yeah.
So I can see both sides.
Yeah.
And in most arguments, I always like to try to be able to understand the feelings of both sides. Uh, I lean more on let's save the earth because we might not have one eventually if we keep,
Yeah.
destroying it.
Yeah.
But it definitely it's a lot of jobs that they're going to have to go find other jobs. So I hope that by stopping that, they're going to come up with some way to help those people find new jobs. I know that Biden in his campaign, he talked about how he plans on transferring those jobs to different ones for like a more renewable
Good.
energy source and stuff like that too.
Good.
So hopefully he follows through with that, with trying to help those people get jobs.
Kind of off topic, but kind of on topic. Have y'all ever heard of those like solar panel roads?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how they would do it or anything. I watched a video on it like years ago. I've always wondered if they're ever gonna do it, but they literally like turn streets into solar panels so that like we get our natural energy just from the roads that we drive on as well.
Oh,
Uh
nice.
yeah, so I wonder if they'll ever do that. I know that it's money, but I mean put those people toward that job
Yeah,
toward
right.
the
Yeah,
end.
the biggest issue, right? And it's not necessarily just with climate change or with this specific issue with the Keystone pipeline, but you can look at it in any way, right? Even military spending. We spend more money on our military than any other country. We spend more than double who comes number 2, which is China. It's just
Right.
insane. And then I had this conversation with my dad actually because the biggest issue is okay, we cut military funding, but then you're cutting all these jobs for people who are employed via the military. And so that's the biggest issue when it comes to where we put our
I mean,
money and where we invest in is that there are people who are directly affected by it.
I was
And
affected by that.
were you?
Yeah, my husband was in the Marine Corps and we were pushed out because
Yeah.
jobs were cut. So
So
and
so you that's a perfect
yeah,
example,
it was
right?
horrible.
Yeah, and
But
so
I
it's easy to
understand.
like not think about those things, right? Like as somebody Joe Schmo who has no family or friends who are in the military, it's easy for them to be like, oh well, we're spending so much money on it. It's obscene. We don't need to. Let's cut it and put it towards social programs. In theory, that sounds awesome, but there needs to be a backup plan for the residual effects that are going to
Mhm.
come from that, and in turn helping the families who are going to be directly affected. And so I think the same thing goes for the Keystone pipeline, right? You just like you said, all these people, like it'd be cool if we could say, okay, well, we're putting all this, where we would have put money into this into renewable energy. We can hire you here for it. I love that idea, and I hope that there's a way that that can somehow become a reality. But that's
Yeah.
what makes these issues so complicated.
The
Yeah.
military one was stressful because, like, as a military family, we already made so little. They provided our housing and our medical, and that was awesome. Miss you, TRICARE. Bless up. But they did not help us at all, like pushing us out. Like, yeah, my husband went through these classes that are like, oh, here, this is what could kind of happen. But that's it. Like, we're just going to tell you kind of. And then, like, maybe here's some handouts of you can call these people for certain things. That's cool and all. However, I will say the budget is ridiculous that they have annually because in my husband's shop, they would just go and purchase an abundance of crap because they had to spend the money or they would lose it. And it's like, you didn't need the money in the first place.
Yeah.
So that could have been put more toward helping these military members that you're shoving out.
Yeah.
And the families. And like, we suffered. Hi, that's how I got into streaming. But it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. And it still is. And people are still getting shoved out because they're not putting the money where it should go. They're just putting it where they're told, like, hey, you have to spend it here. You might as well do it before the next year rolls around, the next fiscal year.
Yeah. So they should really actually be just looking at their budgets instead and reallocating their budgets. And then if they need more money in a different year, then they can pull from something, temporarily or whatever. But yeah, I think that there's always different options other than just black or white. Right?
Definitely.
Like right now, shutting down the Keystone pipeline is very black and white because unless they go through and they're like, all right, but then here are these group of people. This is where we are doing. We're setting them up with recruiters and they can, do this until they get a job. We will help you find a job kind of thing. Or here's a group of jobs that you can apply for and that you can be a part of instead of just being like, hey, peace out.
Yeah.
Have a good day. So
I mean, sorry, that's not what anything Biden just did, but we're yelling at you if you listen in.
Next one, non-citizens working to be counted in the census, which
That's
is
a confusing one for me.
What's confusing about it?
So I understand what the census is. Like, it basically, gives you the idea of the amount of people in those areas for voting and stuff like that. But does this mean that people who are unfortunately here without documentation, does that mean that they vote? Sorry, this is just me asking questions because I don't understand.
No, it's not so much about voting. I think, and I don't know as much on this as I wish I did. I remember reading
Same.
about it a bit ago, but with the census, if you're not counting undocumented people who are living with you, it in turn affects. I'm pretty sure the way that things are budgeted, and so you're not seeing the communities that are in turn, they I don't even know how to like properly
Yeah,
explain it.
The biggest thing
that's
is like with
to figure
schools,
out.
public schools aren't getting funded as much if there's a lot of undocumented children that are going to it. And they're like, well, this school only has 100 kids in it, but really they might have 250 kids or, something like that. That's probably way out of scale. They have 250 kids, so maybe they have 350 kids in it instead. But they're only getting the budget for 250 kids, which means now they can't support, those teachers can't support those extra kids, the food budgets that they have and stuff like that. They don't have the proper food budgets. So then they can't help with kids that can't afford lunches. So then those kids just go hungry. That's one of the biggest things. Parks and stuff like that, keeping parks up to speed and community centers and stuff like that. All that kind of stuff is based off of the census.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I was confused. I was talking to my husband last night about it, and he had mentioned the voting thing, and I was like, no, I don't think it's to do with that.
No.
But
Yeah, it's mostly about funding, I think.
Yeah.
Because even I just looked it up, and it says the order aims to ensure the Census Bureau has ample time to complete an accurate population count for each state and introduce an appointment or apportionment that is deemed fair and accurate to Congress so that federal resources are efficiently and fairly distributed. And it says why it matters. Biden's order marks the end of the Trump administration's efforts to include a citizenship question in the 2020 census in an attempt to skew the results in favor of Republicans. And it says the question was not included after the Supreme Court ruled in June 2019 that the Trump administration could not add the question until it offered a better justification for its inclusion. So
That's
that was the
gross.
purpose of that. Yeah, I know. It's
That's so
pretty awful.
gross.
But the next thing that he put into effect will help with that a little bit by
Mhm.
fortifying DACA. And we talked a little bit
Mhm.
before we started what DACA is, but it's basically the program. Again, I don't remember what it stands for.
Let me do the googs.
It's like
Let's
It's the
Dreamers.
Dreamer Act.
Yes. Where basically kids that are born or brought illegally into the United States
yeah,
have the opportunity to become citizens because it is not
yeah.
on their shoulders that they were here. And
And it
so
was
it gives them
really
a clear-cut opportunity and plan to become a citizen of the United States so they
yeah.
can make their
It
dreams come
stands
true.
it stands for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's
But
a United
they're
States
called the
immigration
Dreamers.
yeah, the United States immigration policy that allows some individuals with unlawful presence in the US after being brought into the country as children to I missed my place. Yeah, basically you get I can't find my place.
Yeah, I know it gives them an easier path to citizenship from what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand. And just in general, I think that he has a new citizenship plan in place that for everyone
Yeah.
that'll be much faster than it otherwise would have been,
Mm.
which is great.
Another one is pauses deportations and suspends remain in Mexico for asylum seekers. Um, Basically, just allowing people to come here if they
Come
need to
in.
come here.
Mhm.
And that's again cool, right? Like I think my opinion on like illegal immigrants and stuff like that is if you have a reason to come here and we're not giving you the opportunity to legally do it, but if you stay where you are, you're going to die. Anybody in their right mind is going to figure out how to get somewhere safe, right?
Yes.
So we would almost want to expect the same thing, right? If we were having issues in the United States to the point that we needed to flee, or even personally, if you have issues where in your personal life that you needed to flee, I would hope that like Canada or Mexico would take me, right? Otherwise, I'm gonna die, kind of thing. Obviously, there needs to be a program and stipulations in place in order to kind of funnel that and to keep things organized, because otherwise it's just going to be one whole wave, and be a big mess. But fortifying DACA and then also allowing asylum seekers to come into the country and like the travel bans and stuff like that. That is what America is, right? America is literally the melting pot. We are the place that almost everybody else came from somewhere else, right? I mean, granted, you can't say that somebody discovered the United States or America because there were already people here. But for the
Mhm.
most part, we're all immigrants.
Yeah.
And we can't just all of a sudden be like, starting today, we're better than
Yeah.
any other immigrant because we
Right.
were here first, kind of thing. You can't be like that. Everyone should be welcomed. If that is the foundation that we are sticking with for why and how America was made, then we need to continue with that, because you can't really say that I'm American. You can only say that if you're Native American. Otherwise, you're not American. Like you live in America, and there's no such thing as American.
Yeah, when you
Right?
put it that way, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So like I can't be like I'm American. I can say I'm really, really strongly white European.
And whenever I
Yeah.
look at my 23andMe, there is no American in it. It's
Exactly.
very European.
I'm
Yes.
very European.
We are all mutts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unless again, you are Native American. Then
Yep.
you can say that you are American.
I know. It's like whenever oh my gosh, this is my favorite thing about growing up in the South is that literally everybody tells you that you're part Cherokee. I can guarantee you Southerners, you probably not. Like I was told my whole life, and that's why I got the 23andMe test done, and it came back as 0. You can bet my family was mad.
Oh yeah.
No, I bet.
Well,
They
even
still don't believe it, and I'm like, no, you're not. Accept it.
Hate
I
to break
mean,
it to you.
there's an Omaha tribe of Native Americans, and I live in
Yep.
Omaha.
Mhm.
And everyone does the same thing around here. That if your family is deeply from the Midwest, you tend to believe that you're part Native American. And my parents were always like, you're not. Don't worry, you're not. You as white can be.
Like, it's okay to be your ethnicity.
Right, yeah. And you don't need to steal from other people's ethnicity for one reason or another. Yeah, and the people that do actually have Native American in them, then like they don't get that opportunity to really enjoy that part of their heritage because they just feel like everybody else does too.
Yeah, and if you believe that you do, go get tested because you can like get into what's it called? Like your tribe. If you have like a connection, you can be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Can
But
actually
don't
learn
try
about that.
unless you know. Yeah.
Let's see, where are we on the next one? One of my favorite oath of ethics for branching cabinet members. This one made
That's
me
right.
very happy. One of you guys want to explain what it is?
Haley, do you want to?
I mean, I don't know all the details, but I'm assuming it's as simple as just if you pull a Josh Hawley or a Ted Cruz, it's unacceptable.
He's
Crazy.
holding
Am I right?
Biden is holding you accountable for when you're in the workplace, and I think even all the way onto like into social, like if you say something on
Good.
Twitter and stuff like that,
Good.
he's holding you accountable for it, and you could potentially be fired because of it.
Good.
Oh.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do like that. So, oh my gosh, the amount of conspiracy theories I see from politicians. I'm just
CC
like,
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh my God, she's freaking
Day one, and she's just like,
She filed
here.
him. She already filed articles of impeachment against Joe
Right.
Biden. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
She
it's
was ready.
a stunt. It's a
She
publicity
was
stunt. There's
ready
no.
day one, and she's
Yeah.
pulling everything that she possibly can about Hunter out and stuff like that. And I'm like,
oh,
whatever.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know much about the next one, how to modernize the regulatory
either.
process.
I don't either.
well, here, let me Google. Let's see.
Yeah, you Google, we'll move on to the next one.
Uh-huh.
Extends moratorium on evictions and foreclosures through March 31st. Again, there was the rent freeze for a little bit, and now you can't be kicked out because you can't afford stuff, which is good.
Interesting to me, and I wanted to chat with you guys about that. So the fact that it's only until March 31st, I didn't know, but it again it puts into the conversation of if you pause rent, then landlords aren't in turn making their income from that. The issue there is landlords don't always own the property outright. And so landlords still have a mortgage to pay. And so unless you're going to be pausing mortgages as well, someone's getting screwed over in the
Right.
end, right? And so it's fun. The reason I bring this up is because I saw a Twitter thread on it the other day because Joe Biden had tweeted about this and the person responded and they were like, well, I'm losing my income from the fact that my tenants aren't paying rent. How are you going to help me? And man, the hate that this person got, I was just scrolling through the replies and people were absolute savages. They were just terrible. Like going in and just like, oh, well, maybe you should just sell your home. Luckily for you, you have an investment property. This person can't even afford to pay for their own home. And I totally understand that. But it's like, and the guy was just genuinely asking, like he wasn't trying to start a fire or anything. He was just, how do I go about doing this? And he's like, okay, well, if I sell the house, there's still tenants in there that can't be evicted. Like then they lose their home. Like I don't want them to get kicked out of the house. I'm asking how you're going to help me as a landlord, but also might not leave these people on the streets. So it's tough, right? And especially because my husband and I are moving, and the house that we're in right now, we're thinking about keeping it and renting it out. And I'm like, well, shoot, I don't know. That's a risk if we do that. You know, there, especially with COVID and people not necessarily having stable income at the moment. Is it something that we're willing to, put at risk? And it really makes you kind of pause and think because for us, no, we don't own this house outright. And if somebody moved in and then stopped paying rent, then we would have two mortgages and we would have no way of getting rid of this house because tenant in it that would need to be evicted. So I think it just kind of goes to show that there's always more than one side of things. It's not as simple as being like, woohoo, we stopped paying rent, everybody's fine. Like someone's got to pay for it at some point.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
It's the same thing with when they're talking about raising the minimum wage to what, $10 or $15 or something like that.
15.
15. I worked for a very small pottery studio after I quit my corporate job. So
Mhm.
the week that Ben and I got married, I quit my corporate job. I started my business, and then I also worked for a pottery studio for 3 years to kind of help supplement the income. And she was starting everybody out at 725.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I'm coming in at a manager level with multiple years of experience of running a business. I've only ever worked in management positions. I need at least $10 an hour. And she's like, I will do $9 an hour for the first 90 days. And then if you're good, I'll bump you up till 10. But I can't otherwise. And she even did there's a law or a rule or whatever that you can pay somebody under minimum wage for a certain amount of time as like a learning grace period. So she would do that. It was like $6.50 or something like that, that she would pay people for the first 60 days, because you're learning, you're not doing the full job and stuff like that. And then after that, you can then go to minimum wage, or you're then required to go to minimum wage. So I think about that. She can't afford paying people $15 an hour.
Yeah.
And I asked Ben, and he's like, well, the point of that is she would pay up to a certain amount, and then she would file for federal assistance. And then the government would help supplement that, because they can't just expect people to double or more their payments, because what if they're just barely afloat anyways as it is? Their businesses are going to go down, and then nobody's going to have a job, and then we're going to have crazy unemployment rates, and then businesses are going to be shutting down, and then the
Right.
economy is going to shut down and stuff like that. And I think that if that is something that they're doing, the government needs to be able to come in and somewhere along the chain support people. They either need to give people like a stimulus just rent check so they can pay their landlords, or the landlord needs to be able to file and be like, I have 7 properties. This is their average rent. And this is the amount of money that I need to keep my properties alive, basically. And then the
Right.
government needs to supplement that until they decide that they remove this whole executive order or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we go back to normal. They
It's
can't
once again. Oh, sorry.
you can't expect that somebody to just not get paid, right? The people that are paying the rent are excited because, yeah, now they can afford to have food and stuff like that, because maybe they're only working 8 hours a week or not at all. But again, the landlord, that's their job, right?
Right.
So you're saying that one person is worth more than the other person. That's not right. So I think if the government, the idea behind it needs to go from the bottom all the way to the top. It
Yeah.
needs to be for, if you're a landlord, then your mortgage needs to be able to be put on hold too. But then you go to the banks. Well, the banks need to make money, right?
Mhm.
So what do you do that? Do you give money to the banks so that way they can keep their banking running? Or do they take a loan out on the money that they hold in their bank? Like what does that look like? I don't know. But I do think as they have it now, it's not correct. Same with the Keystone pipeline.
Yeah,
Again,
it's not black and white.
yeah, it's not black and white. It literally is not an on-off switch. It needs to be the river or the flow needs to just change directions, kind of thing instead.
Yeah. Also, if we want to backtrack a little bit, so I suppose that the regulatory process stems into on government accountability. And basically, what it says is that President Biden has issued a freeze on all new regulations put in motion by his predecessor to give his administration time to evaluate which ones it wants to move forward with. The memorandum
Right.
is aimed at preventing so called midnight regulations, policies pushed through by a lame duck president, unconstrained by electoral considerations. The fast pace often cuts short the opportunity for the public or industry to review the policies. So basically, they're just like stopping things to be like, let's think about it real quick.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, there were some last minute things that Trump
Yeah.
tried to push through literally as he was on the plane to Florida.
Yeah.
So that
So
makes
I think that's part of it.
yeah.
That makes
I
sense.
don't know what that is.
And then let's see. That was the last of the list there.
That was it.
basically.
So,
And that was all
what
in
do you?
one day.
Yeah, that was a busy day. I
That's
like that
always
he had
Friday.
a new pen for every single one too.
Did he?
Yeah,
That's
Oh, I didn't know that.
a traditional thing. That's like
yeah,
a ceremonial when you sign the document, you leave the pen, and then the people who are there each get to take one home as part of
Oh,
the
yeah.
yeah, as a memento to the day.
So he has his little box full of pens
that's
that.
kind of cool.
Yeah, right. And of
Mhm.
course, they're like brand new pens and stuff like that too. Yeah, it was cool to see him go through and do a lot of work. Is it perfect? No. I think the big difference for a lot of people that support Biden is that he's not the end all be all for us,
Nope.
for majority of us. Like
Right.
he's not president. Like he's not the savior. Compared to a lot of the supporters of Trump, it felt like he was the end all be all.
Like he was their god.
That's
Right.
because idolatry is a hell of a drug.
And
Yep.
again, we're not saying all, we're saying a lot. It
A
felt
lot.
like a lot of supporters, because obviously the people that are like that are the loudest. Is that he's the rebound boyfriend. But we
We
need
do
to
what we
hold them
can.
accountable. And I
Yeah.
felt like with Trump, a lot of people were not, a lot of his supporters were not holding him accountable. They were happy with how he was. We couldn't get through, anybody on the other side weren't able to get through to him to hold him accountable. And I feel like with Biden, I can hold him accountable because he's, again, not my president. There's
Yeah.
never been a president that's been my president kind of thing. Like even with
It feels like
Obama,
he's
I loved
listening.
Obama. He did a lot of really bad stuff too, though, as a president. Like nobody's perfect. He just was very charismatic, and so people fell in love with his personality. But even then, like we still need to hold these people accountable because they only represent their own feelings, right?
Right.
Like they'll take all of our stuff into consideration, but at the end of the day, he can do practically whatever
Whatever he
he
wants.
wants to. um,
Right.
and thank goodness for checks and balances, but it definitely, I think that's the thing that we really need to keep in mind, is that we need to hold this administration accountable because they're trying to flip the coin. And sometimes things are going to get lost in the shuffle when they're flipping it.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
like a few things that we've already talked about today.
Yeah,
But what
the
do you
important thing
guys?
is that well, I was just gonna say, the important thing is that we have a situation that is not common in the sense that we have
Yeah.
the House, we have the Senate, and we have the presidency. So truly there is no excuse to not get things done. And
Yeah,
so that's why I completely agree that he absolutely needs to be held accountable, and all of Congress does. And luckily there's people who are loud about it, like AOC, Ilhan Omar, like Bernie Sanders, who are like, this needs to happen and it needs to happen now. And so, it's our job as citizens to put that pressure on Congress and be like, no, this is what needs to happen. And it's going to be easy to fall to the back burner now that Trump isn't in office and be complacent and be like, oh, I can finally not care about politics anymore. Like these issues are still there. Just because Donald Trump isn't in office anymore doesn't mean that it's like, woohoo, racism solved, the end.
right.
That's not how that works.
And
And
we need
so
to
we won't have that
focus.
fire under our ass anymore. So it's our job to like continue to care and be invested.
Yeah, and we also need to focus on our state and local government too, because
Yes.
so
Yeah.
much can happen. So much can happen in the smaller levels. That if you're complaining about something, majority of it is probably can be taken care of in your own city, in your own
Mhm.
state.
Yep.
You can't just wait for the president to decide for everybody when you could potentially make it happen for your own
Yeah.
state.
Vote in those smaller elections. Do
Yes,
it.
definitely. We had a bill we put up in Nebraska to get rid of serving wages, put them up to regular, so no
Good.
$2.13 an hour,
Good.
put them up to regular minimum wage. And I was like, thank goodness, because in college, working for 6 hours on a Tuesday afternoon, I made 20, $30 in a day in tips plus my
Yep.
$2.13. Like I can't live off of that. Uh, And so everybody fought for the evenings and weekend shifts, but somebody has to do the day shift, right?
Yep.
And if you get stuck with that, then you just get no money. And
Yeah.
that was me for the longest time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see if that goes through in Nebraska.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. I mean, I don't serve now, but it also, I mean, that's
Still.
why Ben and I always do 20% or more at restaurants.
Yep.
Even when
No
we
matter
do
what.
carry out now,
We do too.
always do 20% or more because I just know, I know how hard it is, especially now, to be in the food industry.
Mhm.
It's a very thankless job,
Yep.
to say the least. So yeah,
And just keep trying your best to be decent humans to one another. When things happened that were horrifying this month, but a lot of good things happened too. And although what has occurred this week is not perfect, it is progress toward hopefully more good things, to make things more bearable for our people of more diversity than just us white folk.
True.
So
sorry
just
that we're 3 white women.
I know. I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, we are 3 white women. Like,
we are. But we're doing our due diligence to try to help fight, though. Like, we're using our voices, and I think that's important. And so it's good to see things occurring, even if it may not be what everybody agrees with. In the end, things are not as black and white as they just look on a paper. So do your research, look into things, and like Sam was saying, hold them accountable. Use your voice on your platforms if you have that, which you all do. So there's people watching social medias. Believe
Yep.
it or not.
Yeah, even if you don't stream, you still have people
Yeah.
that you are connected to. Right?
Everybody has Twitter. Okay, not everybody, but a lot of people have
A lot of
Twitter.
people.
Everybody has
Everyone-
Facebook, right?
Yeah, everyone has a social media platform of some
Of
Of
kind.
some kind.
You could potentially change some minds if you really feel strongly about your opinions.
Yeah.
What is something that you want to see Biden and Harris attack, whether right away or sometime in the next 4 years? What's something that you feel strongly about?
Definitely
For that, I'd
military
really like to.
for me.
Yeah. I was gonna say COVID is the biggest thing right now for sure.
Yeah.
Just focusing on and getting the vaccine rollout to be more effective. Right now, they've only vaccinated an embarrassingly small number of people, and the Operation Warp Speed is not at warp speed. I hate to tell you.
Yeah.
This whole,
Especially
wasn't it 100? Was it 100 million? How much is in 100 days? Did he want
I
to?
don't know. I don't remember exactly what it was,
Was
but
it
I
100
know
million
that
in 100 days or something like that?
kind of can you fucking imagine? Yeah, I know that they were like throwing out vaccines because they were expiring because they weren't like being distributed fast enough. Um, there's just a lot of fumbling and dropping the ball on that. So that's definitely the biggest thing. And getting people taken care of, and also convincing people that the vaccine is safe and not something to be feared, or there's
Yeah.
not nanochips in it, or
Yeah.
like crazy stuff.
Conspiracy
So
theories.
yeah, just
No.
nixing all that. I think these are really, really good steps though that Joe Biden
Yeah.
has taken.
Yeah. I definitely think the systemic racism, is that what you were saying to Haley for a second? I thought you heard you say. Maybe not.
Well, no, I know Sam was talking and I accidentally spoke
Okay.
over her for a sec.
But yeah, that's one thing that I really want to see, which I do think that with there was an equality bill that he was passing through in the workplace as well. I don't think that was on the list. Was that on the list of things that we talked about for LGBTQ? That in the workplace you can't be discriminated
against. That's right. Yeah, he did.
And that was one of the first things that came out that he did, and I think more of that needs to happen. And I know that there's the people that are on both sides, and strong feminist women are like, no, because you're taking away what it is to be a woman and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't feel any different. Do you feel any different? And then people are like, well, then some 250-pound 6'4" guy is going to come into the bathroom with your 6-year-old. Those people, if they were going to do that anyways, they weren't waiting for the president to give them permission. They were going to do it anyways if they really wanted to. Like, it's that kind of stuff. That's a whole nother conversation.
That's another beast we could definitely tackle for sure.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation to have, but it's a step towards equality. And I really just hope that by the end of the 4 years, everybody is closer to being the same. We're all people. We're all members and citizens of the United States. That's the other big thing that I really
just
want to.
don't let opinions cover up what facts can show. I think that's really important. But aside from everything heavy we have talked about, I saw a lot of y'all that were just like, don't forget about this. Well, we have a treat for you.
Before we get to our treat, can I tell you a fun fact about inauguration?
Go for it. I love that.
Okay, so did you know what inauguration used to be? I don't know. This was like a long time ago. I don't remember when they switched it over. But the way that the president was inaugurated before was at midnight, in the middle of the night. And the head of the Supreme Court and so like Speaker of the House and then the Senate and stuff like that, they would take the president and hide them in Washington, D.C. somewhere. And then the vice president had to go find the president. And then this is like, have you heard like where they do the same thing with the bride and the groom, where the groom, it gets hidden and then the bride has to go find him so you can go get married. It's the same thing, is that they used to hide the president, and then the vice president had to find the president somewhere in Washington, D.C., and then they would go to the Capitol building and do everything. It was literally a scavenger hunt.
That is so funny.
They had to basically hunt down the president.
When did that change?
I don't know.
Maybe it became a safety issue.
Maybe. I don't know.
Like, imagine hiding behind a tree.
And Kamala
hiding president inauguration.
That's funny.
Why have I never heard of that? They need to teach.
I haven't either.
That's so funny. It was prior to the 20th Amendment, which moved the term start/end to January 20th at noon EST. Huh.
Yeah. Trying to find it. All I'm seeing is security stuff about the actual inauguration.
I just want to watch a wicked game of hide and go peek.
But isn't that so crazy that was it used to be in March, and it would start at midnight. And isn't that so crazy? It's so I can just imagine. So
reading about it was so funny.
That was a long time ago. But can you imagine that happening today? Can you imagine Biden hiding and Kamala just like driving around Washington, D.C.? And that's the thing, is it's not like he's hiding in the Capitol building. He's literally hiding in the whole entire city. So you're like,
security threat at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's like, are you hiding behind Abraham Lincoln? Or are you hiding at the Washington Monument? Or he's like sitting on top of his head, like, I'm up here, guys.
I know. I'm imagining my daughter playing hide and seek.
Yes. And then can they move? Can the president move, or is he just stuck in that one spot? Like, can you play like a kick the can kind of thing? Can the president then
or Pence looking for Trump? Oh my God, that's even funnier.
Oh yes. Gosh. Pence looking for Trump, and Trump's like, I'm gonna beat him to the Capitol. Have you guys ever played kick the can, where if you can kick the can before the person gets you, then you win? I can just imagine Trump being like, run into the Capitol building.
Honestly, that would make me love every president just a little bit more, just seeing them in their childlike state.
Yeah. Can we have is it yakety sack or whatever? The
hacky sacks?
No, the music. I can't play it. It's like the
that'll play
it's the yeah, in cartoons, like when they're running in circles and stuff. Joe would be at an ice cream shop. Exactly. See,
probably you can find him at Cold Stone.
Thankfully, Kamala would be in Chucks, so she would be able to chase after it.
my gosh, I love that.
Oh, Yakety Sax. There you go. Yes, if that song was playing in the background, it's so good. So good. Anyway, that's my fun fact about the inauguration.
Thank you for sharing.
Never knew that.
But what was the number one thing that made you smile from Inauguration Day? Bernie.
Wonders.
Man.
Can we
Good.
just say that we love a sustainable king because that man has
Truly.
one coat. His gloves were given to him by a teacher on the campaign trail, and he's worn them for the longest time. I love that people were like tagging her shop and stuff like that too.
I don't care if y'all don't like Bernie in here, but like that was the best.
That
thing
it was
to
so
happen.
good.
Yeah.
The
just-
memes are just gold.
So good.
It's so much.
Speaking
joy.
of, Haley, we can still see you, but we only have one picture frame in this room.
Oh, that's
So,
okay. I'll hang out. Go ahead.
Here we go. My favorite is the Golden Girls. He just like blends in so well.
The Gangnam
And then
Style.
Gangnam Style.
You're right. I didn't even know that's what that was.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And then
The fly.
That's the fly.
I mean,
Never get over it.
you can't be any happier than that, right? It's
What?
just pure perfection. Next.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
He is the chosen lion.
so good. Doo-doo-doo.
My God.
I love when he's hiding. That's my favorite.
I know. When you got to find Bernie, where's Waldo? Where's Bernie?
Where's Bernie? Can somebody make a Where's Bernie book?
Oh
Oh my
my God.
gosh.
Imagine.
Oh, where it's that picture, and then but it's just like pictures from movies and
Yeah, like a proper I
history.
Spy.
Oh, yes. How much do you like? And what do you need to do to get the rights for that? Because he's already approved. Like it was on a sweatshirt on his website that night, and it sold
Of
out.
course it was. Of
Yeah.
course.
Oh my
Selling
God.
band merch.
There were more that were also at like conventions selling art and stuff where they just sit there and wait for people to pop up.
Oh,
Yes, on the chair.
he could be my captain.
Yes.
There's so many good ones that like you can't.
That's my personal favorite.
I put this one in the because this is your personal favorite. I want to show you my
Skyrim,
personal
right at the
favorite.
beginning.
My personal favorite, I totally forgot about until halfway through this conversation. But did you know that Bernie was at Guardian Con for the Lupo meetup a few years ago?
Hey, I'm in there too. Is it close to
Where?
me at least?
Where are you in here?
I'm
Are
like
you-
in the center. I'm right next to Ben and Ninja. Where are you at, Sam? Oh,
Right
never mind,
here.
never mind. Never mind. I'm next to Ninja and who's next to Ninja? Because I'm
Are
right
you
next
right
to
here?
him.
Oh, you can't see. You're so
can't
never mind.
see.
I'm pointing with my mouse, like you can tell.
sitting
That's
Ninja.
Ninja and Ninja with Noel. Is that you're next to?
Oh, okay, that's what I'm next to.
So that's my absolute favorite one. I didn't
Is
know
it
that
covered?
Bernie was there that whole entire time.
Oh my gosh,
For
you're
those
so
who guys
sweet.
don't know, this is from Guardian Con, which is now Gaming Community Expo, GCX, in Florida. Every single year we have a Lupo community meetup, and this was from, so we didn't have it last year. This wasn't that year before, so 2 years ago. So from 2018, this was our group of Lupo community members, and every single weekend that we have GCX, we always have on Saturday evening a big group, and this isn't even the largest group. 2019 was the largest group that we had with over 100 people
It was so good.
that were all shoved in a
Yes.
restaurant together.
I know. I'm surprised,
So
y'all.
we like the Lupo community. Anyways, let's
Bring our queen back.
gotta hide every single but
Are you
there.
okay?
Here.
Are you ready, Haley? Before we show you, she's like,
I'm
"Picking it
good. I'm good.
We're here.
I know, right? I'm like picking my nose, reading.
Yeah, there were so many good ones. I liked the one with Forrest Gump where they're sitting on the bench.
Yep.
There's one was like Keanu Reeves.
Of course.
There's so
Somebody
many
was
good ones.
on a
Even
staircase. And oh yeah, when he was getting stole from the White House during the insurrection.
Oh yes, that
The
one you sent
podium.
me that one. I was like, this one's a little polarizing. I don't know.
It was still just so funny.
It's just so good. They were all
Memes
so good.
the memes have saved me these last couple years.
Right.
They've been everything
Oh.
to keep me sane.
And thank
Oh,
goodness, like people are taking it. Um, they're like taking it well, right?
Ah,
Like the people that are part of the memes, for the most part,
yeah, I was gonna say that I've seen
They
a
don't
lot on
mind.
Twitter that's
we don't
not taking
mind.
it well.
They're buying into it and making T-shirts and making money off of it, so it's okay. There's one in the mod Discord that I absolutely need to put up. I can't, otherwise everybody disappears on the screen. Oh, the Sorting Hat. Yeah, I've seen that one.
Oh, is there one? That would make sense because he's
Yeah,
just
where he's just sitting there with the Sorting Hats on his head.
Dang, I
It's
haven't
so
seen that
good.
one.
Oh
Oh.
man. Does anybody have anything that they want to talk about before we end up today? We have about 15 minutes left. At the very end, we do have a tiny little announcement about our tiny little friend that is in all of our scenes.
I'm trying to pet it. Hang on.
Oh, I
Most
can't touch
uncomfortable pet ever.
it. You're like,
And pisses down
"Let me-
below.
Let me pet you. Oh man. Does anyone have any questions or things that that they want to talk about? Did you see the Time Day One cover?
I didn't. The only thing that we haven't really talked about that actually just the news broke this morning, Chuck Schumer said they're going to be sending the articles of impeachment to the Senate on Monday. So the trial will happen for President Trump's impeachment. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Let's see. Biden said that today he was going to. Oh, what was he working on today? There was something big that he was going to start working on today. I think it was dealing with COVID. That he was going to start like putting all of those actions into place today. Somebody just on my Twitter retweeted a Gilmore. Did you guys both watch Gilmore Girls?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That Bernie is in Emily and Richard's living room and in one of the chairs
No, no.
where they're all just hanging out. It's
Especially because I could totally see Emily and Richard being like the biggest Trumpers ever, which just makes that even funnier.
yeah. Ninja. So there's another one that just came through on Twitter of Ninja, Jess, Guy Fieri, and I don't know the basketball player that they're standing next to, but Bernie's just sitting at a basketball game next to them. So, but like that's just all my Twitter feed is right now.
It's so funny.
Just
I love
all
it.
the memes. You can't wait to see what Dr. Biden does for the education system. Yes, we haven't even talked about Jill.
Oh.
Jilly.
Oh yeah,
love
you wanna
Billy.
touch it, like, super
God.
quick? I actually don't know, so if you wanna.
My favorite thing is that in their POTUS and FLOTUS Twitter bios, it's husband to FLOTUS and wife
Yep.
to POTUS. And I was like,
That's how Joe always ends his stuff. He's always like, I'm Jill's husband. I
Yeah.
love that.
They like,
She's not dead.
no. And in same, what's Kamala's husband's name?
Doug Emhoff.
Doug. Okay. And the fact that they have a fairly new marriage, they've only been married for a few years.
Really? I didn't know.
Really, I didn't know that
Mhm.
either.
Aw.
Is it like or Kamala Harris husband? They got married in 2014.
So 7 years.
7 years. But still, like that's a fairly new marriage in comparison to majority of the presidents that we see. They've been married and with their significant other for a long time. But yeah, it's cool to see that and to see that they're a combined family. Like she has stepchildren and his ex-wife is like they all co-parent well
They're all
together.
really cool. I'm pretty sure that his ex-wife is like a huge Kamala stan. Like she loves Kamala.
Good. Like
It's so cute. I love their relationship.
yeah, she was in attendance at the inauguration as part of the family. Like
Yeah.
Good.
how cool is that? That again, we just have so much diversity, not just in our religion and our skin color and stuff like that going on. We actually have family diversity now. We have
Yep.
our first shelter dogs ever in the White House. Like, or
Really?
just one. Is it just
Yep.
Champ?
Just Champ.
Yeah, Major wasn't. But it's just like there's just so much new stuff to be excited for that I hope that nobody kind of does rose-colored glasses with everything, being excited about all these things and not holding people accountable for their actions that they follow through with. But it's still just like there's just so much.
I have a question. Have there been cats in the White House?
There have been cats.
Great question. I feel like yes. I don't know when, but I'm pretty sure that there have been.
Have there been cats in the White House? Okay.
Who had cats?
These are the presidents who had cats in the White House.
List them.
Like they're my favorite presidents.
Abraham Lincoln.
Probably not, but okay.
He had 2 cats named Tabby and Dixie.
Oh,
Rutherford Hayes.
Rutherford.
Sorry. He had a Siamese.
I grew up with Siamese cats.
Aw. It's a very pretty cat.
One, too.
Theodore Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, Calvin Coolidge, John F. Kennedy, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter,
So many
Ronald
cute-
Reagan, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush.
A lot of them dead.
Yep. Yeah, George W. Bush's cat died just weeks before the Obamas moved in.
Oh,
Sad.
Yeah, so everyone just, I mean, you just think of man's best friend, so they focus on the dogs. But can you imagine I wonder if the cats are like restricted to the 2 floors, the 2nd and 3rd floor where they live, or are they allowed to like go everywhere?
because cats can stink.
Yeah.
Any animal can, but like when a cat does its thing,
Yeah, I think Biden has a cat too. Yeah, doesn't he have 2
Yeah.
dogs and a cat?
Does he have a cat? I didn't know that.
Does Biden have a cat?
For a minute, I thought that like cats were banned, which is why you only ever see dogs. We did have Kiki.
That'd be my first executive order to remove that. Cats are welcome in the White House.
All the kitties.
2 days ago.
Yeah, someone mentioned finding a cat in the White House would be a challenge. True.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is shake the treat jar. Just run up and down the hallway shaking the treat jar. It'll come out.
They'll run out. Yep.
That's what we do when we can't find one. We're just like, all right, come here, Kiki.
Yep. My cat, the second he hears the food hit his bowl, he will come from anywhere in the house.
I have to unplug our cat feeder because it goes off at noon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can hear it in the background of stream. But then also my cats are like "Meow" at the door trying
Yeah. Feed me.
Obviously, nobody scoops the litter. They obviously have like space magic litter boxes that clean themselves.
Dude, one thing I'll say that rocks is that my cats have learned to use the doggy door and they basically pee and poop outside exclusively. It's awesome.
Love that.
jealous. We have
Yeah.
litter robots.
Those
Yeah.
I hear are amazing.
They're so cool.
Neat.
I'm not seeing anything in here at least, but Trump was the first president in over 100 years to not have a pet.
Yep, I know.
Oh, he
And then he bragged about it. He was at a rally.
Yeah.
He was like, "Can you even imagine me with a dog?" And even the people who were there were like cheering, but
probably make you
awkward.
nicer.
Like, who doesn't like dogs? I mean,
Right.
that's not fair. Some people, I guess, don't like dogs.
I
But
don't want to own a dog, but I
hates on
like
it?
dogs.
Yeah, or just animals in general. Like, who expects that to be like dogs? Who wants dogs, right? Like, that's
don't
not a
think they're
unifying
fair.
thing, dude.
Then again, he never like slept in the same room with his wife anyway, so man likes his space.
He clearly.
Clearly. Animals don't trust him. Animals can sense bad intentions. Animals do have another sense to.
They do.
Yeah, when they're uncomfortable.
All right. So, is there anything that we're stressing about?
What we're gonna do next?
Everyone gave a lot of really good suggestions, right? Speaking of pets, we have a pet on stream for Magic Word, and we would like to introduce you to Mr. Peanut Butters, and his name is Butters. Per
Butters.
your guys's wonderful
Cute.
suggestions, and it's just already calling him Butters over and over again. But his full name is Mr. Peanut Butters, and or Sir Peanut Butters.
Last name Butters.
Yes, first name Peanut, last name Butters, and Mr. Butters.
understand why we kind of went with that. So Sam and I have always been sandwich, and at conventions, like we would do our meet and greets together with like, hey, come see this sandwich. And was mine pink jelly?
Yes.
Okay, so mine was like strawberry jelly on the sandwich, and hers was grape jelly on the sandwich, and we had no peanut butter. So here's our peanut butter. So I feel like on our next sandwich thing, we're gonna have to have a.
It should
Butters
just
on
be a
there.
picture. It should just be a picture of Butters.
Can we make him a bread cat?
Red
With, like,
Loaf
the
Cat.
on
Oh
it?
my gosh. Well, now we have a spot for an emote. We need to have. Don't we?
my-
Did we get one made of him already? No.
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 We
need
have
to-
the cat one.
We do have the cat one. The what is he doing?
This one to cheer because it's a show. Everybody laugh.
Yeah.
Laugh, everybody. Butters is
But I will make a bread cat. I'll get a bread cat emote made. Or maybe it's just like a slice of bread and his little face is inside it or something. So
Cute.
welcome, Mr. Butters, Mr. Peanut Butters, to
the first of his kind, owner of treats.
first of his name. And we will definitely. I don't know. We've never seen his face, do we?
I don't know.
Hold on. You're
So,
disappearing
right?
for a
The other
second.
one?
He's in the plant next to your arm. No, he's kind of there. He doesn't really have a face there.
What about Nart? Yeah. Is he?
He's hiding down there too.
He just doesn't have. What color eyes should we give him? Orange,
Green.
yellow, green. Green sounds nice.
Green. It'll match the plants.
There.
Yeah. He does. He has
Aw, yay, Butters.
welcome, Butters.
Everyone says green. Okay, one blue, one green. Oh, that's a lot.
That could be kind of cool, though. Iconic.
We'll see. We'll talk to our artist because it's going to be so small anyways. You're not going to be able to really see his eye color.
True. Good point.
Oh, man. Well, Haley, thank you for hanging out with us.
Always. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
Can we get a shout out for Haley?
Yeah. I just totally like.
Thank you.
My
Haley-
stomach gurgled because I was very hungry and I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Haley is an amazing creator. I would say
Yes.
that she's a variety streamer. However, she's also really well spoken. She always covers a lot of the political stuff going on. Not that there might be too much right now.
Yeah,
but-
hopefully it simmers down for a bit.
Yeah. But she's really good at that, and she's amazing, and she's got like the cutest little daughter ever. And we love her to pieces. So please go give Haley love.
Thank you. It's been so good. And just having the opportunity to hang with you girls are so great. And being able to talk about these things that matter and, all of it and just bringing it together has been so great. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for your help.
Yay.
I'm
Awesome.
giving you love down below.
One day we'll see you again. Have a great day. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.